Good evening. Uh, it's our pleasure to revisit with one of our previous interviewees from last year. We were delighted to be able to give one of our community grants last year to Current Showcase. And we have this evening, we have both of the creators of Current Showcase with us. And so it's going to be a great conversation. But first, as they say, uh, I'm going to turn you over to Todd Whitley, the executive director of the Masterwork Foundation, for his brief plug.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you so much to Debbie and Falls for joining us today. The Masterwork Music and Art Foundation has been around for over 60 years, supporting excellence in the arts. And today we offer three different levels of awards. There's a premier award at $10,000 that goes to an artist or an arts organization. There are community grants awards and there are competitive awards. We also offer some free virtual classes. And this series here, A Life in the Arts, hosted by our beloved Joseph Foy. And with that, I will have you take it away.
Okay. And all right. Okay, he disappeared. There we go. All right. But hold on. I think I better do this too.
Zoom magic.
Well, no, this is the. Oh, oh, there we go. Yes. Okay. Okay. So he's now an attendee. That's the wonders of Zoom. Anyway,
Indeed.
and we'll all get it figured out about the time that something else comes along then we won't use it anymore, of course. But anyway,
Naturally.
the no, so I've been having fun this afternoon looking at pictures from the various current showcases and also some of the video online of both of you. And I particularly there was the one with you falls staring into the camera, and I guess it's the change of your expression and where your eyes are pointing, which is just wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
anyway, but so since what we're really supposed to be talking about here tonight is how people make a life in the arts, because it's a challenge. And
Mhm.
so I get well, Todd's first question's a good one. So when did you know that this was what you wanted to dedicate your life to? And that's a question that might get two different answers.
I can go first.
Sure.
So I'm Falls Kennedy. And it is a good question. I think it's almost there wasn't quite one moment, and I feel like it's an ongoing decision because, like you said, it's a challenge, and it
Mm.
definitely requires like revisiting, just checking in to see sort of how I want it to be, what I want it to be, etc. But I do love to dance, and I'm such a ham. So like anytime I'm on stage, I'm like, yes, this is it. Or in video during the pandemic times, doing crazy face dances. So I think it's something, it's like a decision that I'm continually revisiting and continuing to make just on an ongoing basis.
Well, don't stop. Anyway,
I
Debbie,
appreciate
so
it.
Debbie, um, what had you know that this was what was it for you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Falls. Like the way I relate to dance and the ways that I'm involved in dance have um, are always changing, and I'm always revisiting them to see like how they serve me or how I can serve the larger arts community. But I would say like I felt I always felt drawn to movement and music as a young child, and I like parents put me in gymnastics and all kinds of sports at a really young age. But I remember feeling strongly drawn to dance in particular, or the more dancey elements of gymnastics, because they felt more creative and expressive, and it took away that kind of like stressful competitive element for me. So that was probably the initial breakthrough.
Well, and actually, the follow-on question to that actually is: was there a person in your development who really got you focused and started on the path?
Yeah, I can go. I think for me, there was a program, a summer dance education program that I attended during my summers in high school called New York State Summer School of the Arts up in Saratoga Springs. And that was just absolutely a life-changing experience for me. All of the teachers there, I would say, influenced me in incredible ways, not just as a dancer, but like just as a person. They really, they all had long, extensive professional dance careers as dancers and choreographers and teachers. They really valued drawing out the artistry and individual expression in each student, like valuing that above technique and perfection. And I think that's really where I feel like I found my creative voice.
And you?
Similar to Debbie, there are so many people who've touched me and touched my artistry that I'm just so grateful for. A department that was really instrumental is that I'm from Savannah, Georgia, and there's a local magnet public arts high school here called Savannah Arts Academy. So there I just had my first introduction to modern dance and to dance history, and they let me run wild a little bit, like do a wild solo that was like Hansel and Gretel from the witch's perspective, like performed by piano students. And so definitely the teachers there, Miss Christine Shaw, Mr. Jay Jernigan, Miss Christina Powell. I feel like I really got to learn because so much of the US dance scene happens everywhere in the US, but especially in the Northeast. I got to learn more about what was happening outside of my more balletic, which is amazing, so incredible, but I'm a better fit for modern dance, so that was really important for me.
Well, I was going to say the other thing that kind of follows up on this is that you're both in New York, which is a very vibrant and very busy dance scene. And
For
I think
sure.
the thing that is most amazing about both of you is that you managed to take this idea of this showcase that you created and took it from the let's put on a show level, um, and you just had your seventh season of it, which is no small accomplishment, just from a business perspective in in the New York dance world. And I just think that's wonderful. It's because unless we get those parts of the arts world handled, we don't any of us get to do anything. But I just think it's wonderful, and I, particularly the fact that you've persisted for 7 years, and it's just that's great. Um, so, and Todd here has, and I like, well, he has the whole thing, but I'm going to just do for the first part. Um, we started Current, a showcase series operating under the model: come when you can, pay what you wish, leave when you must. And actually, there's another one on one of the other pages: meet who you meet.
Meet who you will.
Meet who you will. And that's wonderful. And that you've created this space for audiences and dancers is just so much fun. We do have Todd just sent me some pictures, and let's see if I can do this without making everything. These are now. All right, I'm going to try this now here. And what I'm going to see is if I can share the screen without really screwing everything up here. And I want that. And okay, can we see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Oh, that's a good sign, because when you do screen sharing in Zoom, you can't, you know.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So it's the fact that you can see it, that's a wonderful thing. We like that. And I'm going to see if I can't, I think I can do this as a kind of a slideshow. And
Hmm.
the thing that's wonderful with this now, is this from your most recent one?
Yeah.
And I love the backdrop. That's just amazing.
Hmm.
Very New York.
Yes, yes, indeed. And that's just wonderful. And okay, so this was you were on the Brooklyn side, it would seem, and that's looking back at Manhattan. That's a great setting. Uh, I have some cousins who arranged to get married on the barge, the music barge over there,
Oh,
with the same
hmm.
kind of thing. Anyway, I'm gonna cut.
Incredible.
Yeah, the all right. So there we are back again, and so I'm just so what's ahead? Um, the all right. I'm gonna. What did you think current showcase was going to be, and what has it turned into?
Mm.
Hmm.
Um, well, Falls and I attended Barnard College together. That's where we met, and we were fortunate enough to go through the dance department there, and um, came out and were ready to hit the ground running in New York
Mm,
City, pursuing careers in dance. And we were actually living together at the time in Brooklyn. Um, and we really just kept coming up against the same um, platforms for emerging artists where there were really expensive application fees for choreographic festivals, or requirements where you had to sell, like mandatory, you had to sell a certain number of tickets, bring in a certain
mm,
number of audience members in order to even be considered. And we just felt that, starting from scratch, it was felt really prohibitive, and we thought, how can we how can we fix this, or how can we create our own opportunities
mm. Well,
that would address these issues. And so that's how Current got started. Um, we started in a more traditional setting at Center for Performance Research, and it was traditional proscenium theater. I believe all the artists were kind of in the contemporary dance scene. And also the two of us performed in that first showcase. um,
Hmm.
and we actually haven't performed in our own showcases since then.
okay.
But the the mission of Current has really evolved from supporting emerging dance artists to supporting a larger community of artists. We've expanded the disciplines of artists that we support, from uh, more theatrical performers, musicians, visual artists, in addition to dance artists. And we've also become much more public facing. So our format is outdoors, it's in the public, it's totally free and accessible to not only audience members who are invited, but also like people just walking by
Mm,
in the park. And that's really felt right for both of us, where it's gotten to today. So
mm.
yeah, we're excited about it.
Well,
Indeed.
the no, go ahead. No, Falls, go
Oh,
ahead.
oh no. I think Debbie put it wonderfully, and
Okay.
excited for your next question.
Okay, well, the question I was going to say was, how was the audience response to this one? I love the setting, and I imagine they did
Mhm.
too. But it's not something, if you're walking down the street or walking through a park in Manhattan or Brooklyn, that, well, actually, you may see something unusual. There's lots of opportunities for that to happen, but this seems
Mhm.
really particularly like, wow, what did I
Mhm.
just happen on? So, so I don't know. What was the audience, response? Uh, are you already planning the next one?
Mhm. I
Or
would say, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I would say the audience response was so kind and generous and excited. Our outdoor showcase, we were working outdoors and then the pandemic hit and we created a sort of new format that allowed for social distancing, which actually outside of social distancing turned out to be very popular. And
Mm,
that we have each artist has their own location within whatever area we choose. So for this one, it was Brooklyn Bridge Park, Pier 3.
mhm,
And as you mentioned, that gorgeous like Manhattan backdrop, like so many different architectural elements within the pier itself. And so, audience, because the artists are at different locations, the audience can follow a volunteer that's going through a track that sees them all, or
mhm,
they can just wander, and the artists are often performing at the same time. So people who came were really excited to see
mm,
different elements of the pier. Also, if sometimes a piece isn't your favorite, it isn't like your go-to kind of medium, it isn't your, maybe it's more experimental or more sort of lively than you were looking for, you can just walk on to the next one
right.
at your will. And then, of course, there are all the reactions that we love and adore from people who never expected this to be here, especially Brooklyn Bridge Park. I think um, doesn't get quite as many sort of pop up showcases like Current.
Mm,
So a lot of like people walking by and or biking by, and then you hear them say like, "Oh, insert your favorite like four-letter word," and
right.
backtrack to come look at the dance um, uh, and so kind of get wrapped in because of that. So we had, I think it was 80 documented, like purposeful audience members, but hundreds of
Mm,
incidental audience members and really positive reception there, which we're so grateful for.
mm,
As for next, we're still planning, we're still figuring it out, and so we'll definitely keep everyone posted
please.
as we learn more.
I was going to say, though, although this wasn't that long ago, this was in what, September?
It was,
Yeah,
yes.
you may still be in the period when, why did I ever do this way? Please don't make me do it
Val.
again. But then you get over that, and
Mhm,
and you remember
definitely.
how wonderful it was. The
Mhm,
so the other thing, the thing that's really wonderful about the two of you is you've really created something out of the need to somehow get an audience. Uh,
mhm,
the trouble with having a busy and vibrant arts scene is that gatekeepers arise, like the folks who want you to sell a certain number of tickets and all of that stuff. And you need to somehow get people's attention. Uh, and
mhm.
uh, I think that the method that you've created and what you've created here is just a wonderful way of avoiding the gatekeepers because they. But so, what are you working on now? Either,
I think
both.
I think we're both kind of figuring out the pandemic definitely kind of pushed some things back with the dance world, as I'm sure you and your
Oh
audience
yeah, absolutely.
have experienced. And so just sort of figuring out sort of the new landscape post in this like peri-pandemic, post-pandemic kind of time, and got some creative things like in the works mulling, but nothing, no concrete performances coming up just yet.
Okay.
But there are things happening. Well,
Debbie?
Yeah, similar to Falls, just trying to find our footing in this kind of post or continued pandemic landscape of the arts, and yeah, just trying to figure out how to balance and juggle all of it.
Mm.
But I feel like this past showcase, because we had the support of the grant, like really gave us an opportunity not only to produce our largest showcase yet, but it also gave us a chance to reflect on all the work we've done thus far. Part of that was being able to create a website and having to go through and look back at all of the different artists we've supported since Current Take One, going through the archives of our photos and videos, and just like having a chance to just like process and reflect everything Falls and I have worked on so far. And that was a really rewarding experience, especially to be able to compensate all of the artists that performed with us. As you know, dance as an art form in particular is so undervalued, and the
And underpaid.
yeah, it's underpaid, and
I remember somebody telling me that if you wanted to get a good laugh, that you should tell the owner of a dance company that the dancers should get parity with the stagehands,
it
which
is.
is unfortunately, I'm sure, still true. But anyway, is there anything that you'd like to share with someone who's looking to create their life in the art, particularly in your world of dance? What would you want to share with somebody coming up and looking? I'm not sure that we want them to necessarily create another current showcase, but but what would what would your advice be?
I think I think what we do is very special and amazing, but I think I'm all for as many current showcases as can exist, because there's so many incredible artists and dancers and movers out there that I think my advice is keep going. A lot of opportunities are network based, which just takes time, which can be frustrating. And don't be afraid to self produce. If you've got something you want to do, get a group of friends together and rent out a studio space, put on a showcase. Maybe you don't create a whole showcase series like Debbie and I did, but and have been doing, but definitely feel that kind of agency to self-produce, because um, get your work out there.
Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney were on to something. Let's
Indeed.
put on a show. Um,
Indeed.
anyway, well, the one thing, so in looking around today, you have a website which
Mhm.
needs stuff from Take Seven, but
That's on the list for this
yes,
week.
okay,
Yes.
yeah, I have those lists too,
Love it.
but the other thing is that there you also have a Facebook page, which so people who are looking to find out more about what you're doing and want to keep up with what you're doing, those are both good places to look. And I'm trying to learn right now how to put links to that in our final cards that will be on the end of this. So if I'm successful, there'll be a place to just click on in a few minutes. So, but anyway, thank you so much for sharing this time with us, because one of the really wonderful things about being part of Masterwork, and which I've been for a long 1962, I auditioned for the Masterwork chorus, which is
Amazing.
a while back. But one of the most pleasant and delightful things about it is the ability to help further young folks' careers and get folk on the map. And we love doing that, and we love and really wish for your continued and ongoing success. So I am going to make Todd Whitley a panelist again. And Todd, is that actually going to happen? Hold on. Yeah, it's just taking a while. Hold on. I knew this wasn't going to be as simple as we had hoped. But oh well, he's sort of in limbo right now. Todd, if you can hear me, why don't you try turning your video on? Oh, well, if that's not going to work, we'll find something else by next week.
I think I see him.
You can see him? Ah, there he is.
Mhm.
Okay, there you are. It did work. It just takes forever to promote you from an attendee to a panelist. But it does work.
It does, like magic.
The but at any rate, so why don't you tell us, again, where people can get a hold of Mass? We too have a website and
Love it.
and all of that stuff. So take it away, Todd.
Thank you, Joe. Debbie and Falls. Joe and I are here to really say how impressed we are with you,
Yes.
and how grateful we are for the work that you do. And we wish you all the best in the future. And we appreciate so much the time you've shared with us and for this interview. So for the folks who may not know, Masterwork Music and Arts Foundation has a website at masterworkarts.org. We're on Facebook and Twitter, and you can keep in touch with us there. And with that, we look forward to seeing you all at our next A Life in the Arts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Thanks for having us. Good night.